Gypsy Rose got out of prison 2 weeks ago, I believe. She's been on a big press run and everything, telling her story about how she got out and whatnot.
For those who don't know who Gypsy Rose is, I don't know that much about Gypsy Rose. I just heard of the movie and stuff. Do y'all know more about
I'll tell the whole team because I watched went in a deep dive. I watched her whole series in one day, and then I did like 20 Google searches and watched the documentary. Yeah. So Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her mom, she was a single mother, and she basically had what's it called? Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Yes. Where basically she made Gypsy Rose seem like she was sick as a child, like her whole life.
Like health disorders.
And then not only did she pretend that she was sick, like leukemia, put a feeding tube in her, like went to all these doctors, and she would change doctors frequently so they couldn't catch on.
Shave her head
to make it seem like she had cancer. And then she even got like a house from like Habitat from Humanity, because this was during Hurricane Katrina and all that. So this is another reason why she said like she didn't have medical records, because they were always wiped in the hurricane. So, time goes on and people start to, suspect like what's going on? Like Gypsy can't leave the house. She's in a wheelchair and she keeps saying she's 15, but she starts to progress. She starts to get older and she just keeps making up all kinds of lies. Says she's allergic to sugar, like feeds her mainly through a feeding tube. Like she doesn't even like eat actual food. And like she's making her saying that she's ill. So people are like, that's kind of weird. But the donations are rolling in. They're winning prizes, because they're on the TV and everything. The neighbors are still thinking it's sketch, but whatever. So eventually, Gypsy starts getting a little older and starts to catch on to her mom's ways. And her mom's getting ill too. Her mom ends up getting like diabetes, whatever. So she starts catching on, turns out she's like 19 when her mom's been saying she's 15 this whole time. And she starts getting interested in men. That's how you do this, how these girls do it. So she meets one guy and they're chatting. She goes to his house and like the mom pulls up to the house and like basically it was like she's only 14 and like basically she keeps her shelter her whole life. So then she gets a laptop, she gets a phone, she starts seeing the world. Like this is peak, like 2008 2009, like going into the
so Gypsy older than us.
Yeah. I think she's like 32 now. Maybe mid-30s now.
She did some time in the pen, brother.
I thought she was young.
She did 10 years in the pen. So, yeah, she meets this guy. She starts chatting with him online. And, she's like, hey, how are you? And he's clearly has some mental struggles as well. And basically, she's like, I hate my mom. She suffered abuse as well. Like, her mom would tie her to the bed and leave her there for days at a time and say, you're never going anywhere. So, long story short, she starts talking to this guy on chat and it's like, hey, come see me. Hit him with the come see me. And he drives all the way, to see her from a different state. And they meet up and they link and they're like, oh, we're in love. They bang in like the movie theater bathroom one time.
Oh, yeah.
Like to escape from the mom. I want to get into this because people think she's really innocent and are rooting for her. And I have a hot take. So,
thank you.
So she ends up like, this boy obviously falls in love with her. They met on a Christian mingle site, mind you, like Christian mingle. Yes, Christian mingle.
They was just starting to pop off, brother.
Her name was Come Get You Psalms.
Mind you, he's into like, what is it called? Like BDSM and all that, and you're wrong for that.
Hey, that's what I'm saying.
You're wrong for that.
Come get you some of this.
And it's always the Christian. No offense, but the Christian mingle people I know are the freaks because they're in the chat, and the chat's getting kind of they would like do things on
Jehovah
the video. And mom hasn't really caught on yet, but she she got a phone, little talk to text like minute phone, and so eventually she's like I wish somebody could just take my mom out. Like laughing kind of, and she's like, and
that nigga said,
I beg your pardon.
He's like, and she's like, do you think that you would basically have the balls to do something like that? And then we could be together forever. Like mom won't be in the picture anymore. So they're kind of like, just not really talking about it, but talking about it. And he's like, don't play because I love you. I'll do anything for you. Mind you, he once again, mentally ill, struggle. He had like other prior convictions for like masturbating in bathrooms and stuff. Like this guy's whack. So long story short, he comes and says, I'm about to come through. She gets the knife for him She gets the gloves for him. Mom's sleeping in the back room. She's like, all right, babe, this is what we got to do to be together. And he goes in there and stabs her to death in her sleep and kills mom. And then not only do they do that, they take all the money from all the donations and everything that mom's been getting through the years and they dip. Mind you, she's been, everyone's only seen her like in a wheelchair, sick, fighting for her life. And then next thing you know, she's like standing, walking, talking fine. She realizes she's not sick at all. She's like, my mom's been lying to me and abusing me this whole time. So she gets homeboy to kill her. They dip, they go back to homeboy's house with his parents. And they're like, oh, and he's like, Gypsy's going to live with us for a while. And they're like, oh, okay. They don't ask any questions, nothing. And
I always thought that was weird. I don't mean to cut you off. Not specifically that situation, but people in general. Like, when we were younger.
And they're like teens.
Yeah, like, when we were teenagers, there would be two teenagers, specifically in high schools, dating. But then, like, either the boy got kicked out of his house, apparently, or the girl got kicked out of her house, apparently. And then the other person's parents would let them just move in and live with them. Mm-hmm. I'm like, as an adult now looking back at it, I'm like, yeah, I don't know how I would feel about that.
Like, you're not going to ask no questions to the other parents or nothing? I would have to ask
so many questions before I allow another, like, if Kingston had a girlfriend and like, hey, she got kicked out of her house, she going to be staying here for a while. Nigga, first of all, you ain't making those kind of calls.
So you think you are.
That's literally what happened.
You're not making this kind of calls in this house. Secondly, I have so many fucking questions before I even think about letting this chick step foot in my house.
It's wild, bro. So long story short, cops pull up, they find them. And this is where it's not funny, but they had the murder weapon and the gloves mailed to the boy Nick, the guy's mom's house. So they mailed the murder weapon and the gloves to themselves so they could get rid of it. But long story short,
one of y'all, drive down the road, then casually toss it miles and miles and miles away from.
They're both like a little, and so then they're like. She starts freaking out. She's like, I want to go home. He's like, you can't go home. She's like, that's the only smart thing this nigga said. She's like, we got to go. I'm freaking out. My mom's just sitting there. She's dead. Like, who's going to check on her and know like that she's dead? So then they decide, okay, this is how it all comes down. She's like, all right, let's post on her Facebook. And he's like, and say like, hey, I hacked the Facebook. I've murdered that bitch. Like, and so they go on there and they're acting like they're the murderers because they are. And they're like, yeah, Dee Dee's dead. She's in the house. Like that, posting on Facebook. And that's how they found them. Like the cops end up finding out that they were in Wisconsin because they beeped the location. So they arrested both of them. And then they were going to try them together for murder, obviously. And then Gypsy basically, shout out to her lawyer because her lawyer pretty much saved her life and was like, I see that you've been abused your whole life. Your mom did this, this, and that. You basically have to sell it to the public and to the jury that you should get a separate trial because you didn't technically perform the murdering. Like you didn't actually do anything. And you just were talking out of hate, like to this boy and he acted on his own accord. I don't think that's what happened at all. But long story short, she ended up getting 10 years.
He got life.
The guy got life. He's still in jail for life. And she just got out after, actually she got off on good behavior. She only did 8 years of the 10.
So now she's doing a whole bunch of press runs and whatnot. And there's a lot of people that are like, she doesn't really deserve this type of, like, she really should be doing more time than she actually is doing. Then there's this other side that does feel a lot of sympathy for her just based on the circumstance that she was subject to for the majority of her life growing up. So there's a real split down the middle on it. And on one end, I just feel, I don't know, man. I don't know why we just allow people to get away with this shit. I don't know why we allow this to take place. It just doesn't add up to me because we got people that are accessories to murder and like openly telling that they are. And we're going to sit here and be like, no, she didn't really like mean it, but then he took it and was like, he's crazy, so he did it. Which he was crazy, but you incited it. You got the objects that he ended up using to commit the crime, and then want to act like I wasn't really involved in what ended up taking place. I didn't come up with the ideas to get on the Facebook and do this and that. That is so hilarious to me.
Like
How
people are
time can just-
worshiping her.
time-
Like the
time will
media is
just wash
worshiping
it
her.
away.
Like we hope she lives her best life. Like she's on talk shows, TV show. Like she is doing like literally a whole press tour.
I would
getting out
have
of-
to. I would argue though, she doesn't really have another choice in order to make money because she can't really work a normal job. Can she?
Yes, she can.
Secondly-
Yes, she can.
Secondly, what's gonna get you more views? These media don't give a fuck whether it's good or bad. As long as it's gonna get them views.
That's true.
For real.
Gypsy Rose, the hottest story right now. They don't give a fuck. And yeah, they know people gonna tune in and see that, and because they, especially if you watch the movie or the documentary on it, you gonna tune in and watch it. So let's go ahead and get Gypsy Rose on this.
They was doing interviews when she was in jail. Still,
In a sense that she was sheltered her whole life. She didn't really get to experience life. She trying to find a way to say it. I'm not saying that she's not wrong, but she didn't get to experience life to like truly. She didn't get to bump her head and learn from her mistakes growing up. Like when you young, your mom tell you not to touch the stove because it's hot. Some people have to actually touch the stove and burn themselves. Like, oh damn! Like, all right, let me leave this shit alone.
Yeah.
She didn't get to make mistakes growing up because her mom did so much of her shit for her. I'm not saying like if she went to jail for life, I'd be like, oh, it's fucked up. But at the same time, I get the sympathy part because she didn't get to make the mistakes and learn from them in life. I don't think I really have a feeling on how she feels. Because if she was like going on a murder spree and murdering people, then yeah, she needs to be locked up. Or if she was like accessory to it, like how he was, like he killed her mom and like, damn, I want to go kill somebody else. And she like is around while he's doing it, then yeah, I think she deserved to get life. But after that, it's like if she got life, cool. If she didn't get life, she served 10 years or 8 years, however long. All right. That's just how I look at it because I don't really have a feeling for it. Even though she planned the whole thing and got her mom up out of here, her mom kind of brought it on herself.
that's what that's what a lot of
people are
people's
saying.
argument is
Yeah.
for whether justifying this crusade to support her en masse.
I'm not saying her mom deserves to die, but the shit you put your daughter through, and then the moment she get a little bit of freedom,
Yeah.
and somebody crazy enough comes into her life, and he get the opportunity to do it, you opened yourself up to it. Instead of you didn't get to warn your daughter of potential people out there and have her go out there and experience life and then be like, okay, this dude's crazy. Let me stop talking to him. And, got to be a teenager and got to experience life. She didn't get to do any of that. So the first person outside of her mom that's going to give her attention, she's going to grab hold of that motherfucker. And it happened to be a mentally ill person who drove from another state to come over all the way to see her. And it's like, yo, I'm willing to kill your mom for you.
I need that energy. No.
Like, I'm willing to kill your mom for you. And you
I'm just
mad
kidding,
enough
Mama
at
Addams.
me because you found out the shit I put you through. And you mad enough at me, you found a dude who's willing to kill me for you. Like, in a dark, twisted way, that's the karma her mom got for herself.
I don't think he should have got life personally.
Why? I'd love to explain that one to me. I think life is justified.
I think so. I think
I would have to listen to all the facts, but like depending on his degree of mental, he was manipulated.
No.
Manipulated
No.
by a person that was also manipulated. But I felt like he was also trying to use that as a way to isolate and get closer to her. Because right after that, they just go stay with his family and do all this different, it could be another situation where she would end up eventually feeling trapped again.
But also, you could say Gypsy is a mentally ill person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is like three mentally ill motherfuckers all in one roof one night.
Her mom basically manipulated her whole life, twisted her thinking, put her through all this shit. Her saying that to him and like planning it out, they truly both didn't think. Like you kind of understand the repercussions of if you was to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Until you actually do it, and then you just drive off and think ain't nothing gonna happen. And you kind of freaking out because it's sitting on your conscience.
Mhm.
Like, they're both was mentally ill. I think he deserves life in the sense that because he was that easily motivated to kill somebody, like without a second thought, be like, I might go
Yeah.
kill your mom.
Not for
Somebody like that needs to be under surveillance at all times. If you can love somebody that much or be manipulated that easily into going to murder somebody, then I'm scared to have that type of person out on the street because anybody can manipulate you or set you off to the point where you want to murder somebody.
True. Yeah, it's
You done with it?
yeah. Maybe she should have got like 15.
I just don't. And then also, I just don't think she should have been glorified. Like, she shouldn't be glorified in the media.
Yeah.
And she's like, I know murder is wrong.
Ted
Do
Bundy
you though?
glorified.
Yeah, that's what I feel like.
Jeffrey
It's
Dahmer
the
is
same,
glorified.
not the same level, but
Yeah.
I mean, they're not the same level, but we glorify negativity or messed up things.
yeah,
People were watching Jeffrey Dahmer, like the Jeffrey Dahmer show or the Ted Bundy show with Zac Efron. And women legit was getting turned on watching these motherfuckers during this shit.
that's wild. as
Ignoring the shit that they're doing or they're
sick. Yeah,
representing in this, but they getting turned on by the show. Like,
yeah,
that's really fucked up. But it's because we glorify the shit so much. People are able to, in a sick, twisted way, separate the art from what actually happened.
mm-hmm.
I'm turned on by the art. But if this is like, if I was to witness these actual things that happen, I wouldn't be turned on by it.
Yeah.
But because it's not affecting me directly, I'm turned on by this. Like, it's messed up. Like, we glorify negativity because the positive stuff don't get the same effect as the negative stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't draw the same type of jarring reaction or anything like that.
No, you don't get that same. But it's the same thing with the Cat Williams thing. Cat Williams, that's like the second highest grossing podcast episode of all podcasts of all time.
Is it really?
Yeah.
It's
Ah,
been a week.
nigga.
Like,
It's been a week.
and all he did, like, shit on a lot of fucking people. Think about how fast that episode blew up and how much it's still talked about
Yeah.
compared to, like, what's some positive news y'all heard this week? Like,
The Lions in the playoffs. Come on. now.
Michigan wins a national
And
championship,
Michigan
baby.
got the daddy. Come on now.
That's the only
Michigan's
good
in a
news I got
good
this
vibe
week.
right now.
But what I'm saying is, like, shit like that, like, people are still talking about the Cat Williams shit a whole week later after it happened. Versus, and we're struggling to talk about something positive that was in the news or came across our timelines.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
true. Not a whole lot of